bum, bum, bum. Another one bites the dust. It feels like 2016 all over again. A bunch of no-name nobodies, a bunch of family legacy political nothings, a bunch of zero charisma flip-flopping clowns who clearly have a very exaggerated, I'd argue delusional sense of, I guess, perceived value. Regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, you could be a Trump supporter or not. I think pretty much everyone agrees, left, right, and center, none of these guys are going to unseat Donald Trump. And so, like I said, just like from the 2016 election, one by one they fall, slowly dropping out of the race. And relating to that topic today, we have the biggest headline of the year. Mike Pence, Donald Trump's former vice president, has officially dropped out of the race, calling it quits. And so let's do a little bit of a Mike Pence recap as we say farewell. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, friends. So Mike Pence has officially dropped. Here's a brief little cut of what he said at an event in Las Vegas.
I just couldn't sit this one out. But the Bible tells us that there's a time for every purpose under heaven. And traveling across the country over the past 6 months, I came here to say it's become clear to me this is not my time. So after much prayer and deliberation, I have decided to suspend my campaign for president effective today. Now, I'm leaving this campaign, but let me promise you, I will never leave the fight for conservative values, and I will never stop fighting to elect principled Republican leaders to every office in the land. So help me God.
Now, I think a lot of people perceive this guy as authentic. Look, you may not agree, but this is my opinion. I just don't buy it. I don't buy any of it. I don't trust this guy. I mean, the switch up to accept the role of vice president. You know, Mike Pence essentially for 4 years joined into this new nationalist America First grassroots movement, but I don't think he really ever believed it. And these days, I honestly perceive him as another typical establishment, rhino, and even becoming increasingly anti-Trump Republican. And it all leads me to the same exact question. Why? You know, this little part of Mike Pence's statement.
Traveling across the country over the past 6 months, I came here to say it's become clear to me this is not my time.
Really? Now you realize that it's not your time? After betraying the MAGA base, after betraying Donald Trump, who essentially made your career, made your name, after totally betraying Trump voters, backstabbing the voters, and then attempting to subvert Donald Trump by launching your presidential campaign, you tell me that now you realize that it's not the right time? I'm pretty sure anybody could have told you that it's not the right time. In fact, it's not your time. I don't think it ever will be your time, at least not on the general election stage. He never stood a chance. He's known that from the start, yet he continues to act and attempt to be perceived as authentic, as if he was serious about it from the start, and it was all some genuine attempt to restore the soul of the nation. Give me a break. In fact, he probably should have resigned in shame after this moment with Tucker Carlson.
In maybe January, we'll let somebody transfer some jets.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, have you, I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States. And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased. And yet, your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern.
That right there is when he proved himself as a fraud. Like I just said, he joined under the America First banner, but he was a chameleon the entire time because this was who he truly was. You gotta be careful in the world of politics. People can say the right thing every now and then. They could put on a good show, a good act. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger right now, who's, again, a Republican, is getting all kinds of praise over this moment.
And then I'd like to know I always ask Democrats what it means to be a Democrat in that way. And I think whatever anybody would say,
Run your cities.
what would they say?
Run your cities.
What's that?
Ruin your cities.
Ruin your cities.
That's what the Democrats would say. We're about ruining the cities. We want to f every city in America. That's what it seems to be the theme right now.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's calling out Democrats, quote, ruining cities, Dwell-based. Yeah, that's the same Arnold Schwarzenegger who essentially said, screw your freedoms. We all remember that, right?
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
The way I perceive them, what they seem to me, they're a bunch of chameleons, shapeshifters. They simply go with the wind. Chris Christie one day can be shining Donald Trump's shoes, telling everyone just how great Donald Trump is, the greatest president under the sun. But then, of course, the moment he's not up for re-election, the moment he's not relying on that Trump endorsement, or he isn't benefiting behind the scenes in some shape or fashion, he switches up. He's a shapeshifter. And that is the exact same thing we saw with Mike Pence. And honestly, the most frustrating part is this sort of virtue shield. He likes to paint himself as an unimpeachable character, Mr. Evangelical, not buying any of it. Because when the struggle hit, when things started to get difficult, he was the first man to jump ship and abandon a president who essentially gave him everything. I don't think Mike Pence was running for president based on this virtuous ambition that he declares. You know, in politics, perception is everything. It's possible that my perception is incorrect, but when you do things with certain timing, when there's an element of betrayal or some sort of vendetta, or when your decision to run can be perceived as a sort of clout grab, you know, a timing thing for political image and political stock, well, the perception is what it is. There's no running away from it. And the reality for Mike Pence is that there's all kinds of negative perception surrounding his campaign. There's two perceptions that I think are the most prevalent. The first one is that Mike Pence did it just to fundraise as much money as possible, stacking millions in the coffers. And obviously when that started to run out, which is basically what happened as of late, he wasn't pulling in major donor cash anymore. And so now he decides to stop. The perception is that he was only doing it for the money, only doing it for the campaign funds. There's that perception, and then there's the other perception that he's coming off serving as vice president. His name is still fresh in people's minds. Whether their perception of him is negative or positive, Mike Pence was only running for president not because he thought he had a serious chance at winning, but literally just to continue to put his name out there and to continue to build name recognition, to be in the spotlight, to advance his careers. Both of those perceptions are an extremely bad look if you're running for president. What people want out of a presidential candidate is somebody who's sacrificing for them. Somebody who comes off as genuinely there to represent them, to do good by them, and to deliver results. Well, that just isn't the reality for Mike Pence. It may be unfair, it may be unfortunate, is what it is. That's kind of just the way the cookie crumbles. That's what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.